my experiences as a private investigator in Chicago. This is a true story. I've been working as a private investigator for 6 years now. You may have some crazy ideas about that, but it's far less glamorous than you might think. Most of us work, and it involves chasing unfaithful spouses or doing some research into political candidates for their opponents. It's not what I was hoping for when I got my journalism's degree, but it pays the bills, I guess. Living here in Chicago, it's hard to ask for anything more than that. A few days back, I was sitting in the coffee shop, waiting for a client to arrive. He called me that morning, sounding desperate. I was happy about that. Desperate clients are usually prepared to pay a lot more. My client arrived a few minutes later, looking around nervously. He was in his late 20s and dressed fairly casually, but his watch and his shoes told me that he came from money. "Thanks for meeting me," he said. "I'm Colin Westwood, and I need your help." I motioned for him to sit down and asked him what I could do for him. "My father," he said. "He's been missing for 5 whole days now, but the police told me that they don't even have an investigator on his case. It's not like him to disappear like this, and I'm worried about him." I sat back in my chair. I had never done missing persons before. "This kind of thing falls a little out of my expertise," I said. "I don't care," he nearly shouted. "Listen, I've done my research, and you were the guy that a family friend pointed me towards." He rubbed his forehead. "I can't trust anybody with this. I'll pay you extra for your trouble. I promise." I thought it over, and I decided to take the case. It'd be a good experience, and earning favors with the upper crust of the city might come in handy someday. I headed home to my office and did some research. Colin sent me his father's files, and I spent the better part of the afternoon and evening looking through them. Colin's father was a self-made millionaire who owned several factories in the district here in Chicago. I also saw that he had made an offer on a building in an older area of the city. I decided to go for a drive to clear my head and think. I am a fan of night drives, especially through the city. There's not a better feeling than that. Driving alone at night, seeing everything, the darkness, the peace. Roll down your windows a little bit, feel the wind on your face, drive under the streetlights. Basically the stuff from the night feeling, you know? Sorry, I'm rambling. I just really love night rides. Anyway, I found myself driving to this property. Again, I'm a private investigator, so in a way, it's normal for me. I always go there early to stoke out the place, see where I can hide, see if there's good hiding places, see if anything seems strange right away so I can come prepared. I'm an idiot, I know. I was keeping an eye out all around me for anyone who might want to jump me. The factory was old. Very old, actually. But hey, most buildings here in Chicago are old. I took a picture, and you can see here. That's when a blur of motion I saw in the mirror on the right side of my car. My back right window was smashed, and the inside of the car was littered with the explosion of safety glass. I looked back to see who was attacking my car, but saw nothing. I hit the gas and sped away, still looking backwards. The street was well lit, and there was nowhere to hide, but I saw no one in the street. When I looked forward again, my eye was drawn to my rearview mirror. It revealed a man standing motionless in the street, staring at me. The man looked badly burned. I sped back to my apartment, shaken. I did some research that night and saw that the factory had been a host to dozens of accidents and disasters over the years. Still, I thought that was the case with most old factories in Chicago. I then started to think I may have a haunting on my hands. I got a little nervous. The next morning, I called up Colin. "I'm coming with you," he said to me. I was secretly glad. I already felt stupid about going back, but hey, he offered to pay a handsome reward. But it felt good, because the idea of exploring that place alone, even during the day, didn't appeal to me. I met Colin in front of the factory that morning, and we made our way in. It was desolate. It looked like it hadn't been used for at least a decade. "Look at the walls here," Colin said. It's strangely loose." It was true. The wall looked loose. We walked into the back of the building and forced the door open. I jumped back and cursed under my breath. Colin peered forward and let out a slow breath. "Well, you don't see that every day." He was right. It was a circular stairway that curved down for as far as I could see. I kid you not, I have a picture, because I pulled out my camera, like every private investigator has, and snapped my photo. Colin knelt down and picked up something off the ground. His hand clenched tight. "We have to go down there," he said. "Are you crazy, man? I don't know what's down there, but look at these stairs. Beyond that point, if there's even nothing down there, we could fall." I was not planning to die for this. He held out his hand to me, revealing a small pen. "This was on the ground there. It's my dad's light. He never leaves home without it. If this is here, he must be down there." I stared at the light, then Colin, and finally shrugged. "If you want to go down there, man, be my guest," I remember saying. Colin flipped on his flashlight and started his way down the stairs. They were far sturdier than I had thought, and it didn't make so much as a creak as he made his way down them. I stayed up top for a moment, but finally gave in. I am a private investigator after all. I used my phone's light as I made my way after him. There was a corridor at the bottom of the stairs that led out further. I found a switch and flipped it, and flickers of light appeared every 30 feet or so. As we walked down the hallway, a layer of water appeared. It was just a few inches deep, but it reeked of mold. Colin brought his sleeves to his face, covering his nose from the smell. "Okay, maybe we should come back with more..." He trailed off as his eyes caught something. I followed his gaze, and I saw what he saw. A foot and part of a leg were sticking out of the room down the corridor. He ran for it and turned the corner. It was Colin's father. He had been dead for at least several days. Colin was in disbelief. "No," he said, almost a whisper. That's when I heard the sound of splashing. My mind flashed to the night before. I stepped away from Colin. I heard another splash and saw a wave of water appear some 30 feet in front of me, as if someone had thrown a rock into the murky water. I pulled out my phone and took a picture. That's when I realized what I was seeing. The area was well illuminated by the flickering lights, but I saw nothing there. But when I looked down at the water, I saw the burned man from the night before staring at me in the water's reflection. It was one of the scariest things I've ever experienced. "Colin," I said, my voice strained. "We need to go now." Colin walked into the hallway, half in daze. "What's going on?" Then he saw the reflection too. "What is..." The water splashed again, and I saw him staring at the man. The burned man started walking towards us. We both turned and ran for the stairs, almost falling into the water. We heard the sound of splashing behind us, but it stopped when we reached the top of the stairs and slammed the door behind us. We made it out of the factory into our cars. We drove until we were nearly on the other side of the city. I called the police. Their full investigation ruled that Colin's father had been strangled to death. Very heartbreaking if you really think about it. I felt terrible for Colin. He was a good guy after all. Well, this is a true story that I'm not lying about. It's definitely the craziest and creepiest thing I've ever experienced in my life, and definitely the craziest, creepiest thing I've ever experienced as a private investigator. Almost thought about hanging up the hat after that, but I just decided to just take small cases from now on. And I had a few friends in the business as well who were cool on taking on missing persons cases. So if anyone ever came to me about it, I would just send them their way. Thank you guys for listening to this. The craziest thing that's ever happened to me, and yeah, I'd stay away from that building. I have a picture of the guy too. You can see it here. But beyond that point, thanks guys.